Welcome. I am Mr. Clock, the creator of the Arma 3 Object Builder add-on for Blender. In this video, I would like to show off the PAA import function which was recently added to the plugin. Let's say that we have a P3D model imported into Blender using the P3D import functionality, and the import process created us the materials applied to the P3D file. So you can see that we have 4 materials. Now if you look at the first one, so this is actually the Arma 3 sample character model from the Arma 3 samples. If you look at the first material, we can see that the material uses the basic body gray CO and the basic body RV matte, and these are all from the A3 characters F common data folder. But because these are not PNG files, and as you can see they don't actually exist on my system even though the game files are unpacked, the P letter was not appended to them by the import process. Blender cannot import these files by default. The plugin cannot do it automatically. But if you still want to use the Arma 3 textures here without manually converting them, a new PA import feature was added to the plugin. So we can see that the texture we are actually looking for is here in the P drive characters F common data, and this is the basic body gray co.paa and the basic body RV matte. So let's first look at the basic body gray PAA. So if we open the file, we can see that this is the default character underwear texture, and this is what we want to import into Blender to use. So let's go and import a texture, which is the Arma 3 texture from PAA, and navigate to the place of the RV matte, the PAA. So this is characters F common data, and then basic body gray. Now this texture is a color texture, literally a color texture, which we see. So the mode should be left on sRGB. This is not a data texture. That would be for normal maps and SMDI textures, for example. So let's go ahead and import. Now this may take a few seconds because sadly this process is not very quick in a Python implementation, but it already finished. So if we select the material currently, it doesn't use the nodes. So we will have to enable nodes, and then to use this imported texture, we can actually look at it here in the texture viewer. We can see that it successfully imported as we expected. To use this texture, we will have to add a new image texture node, connect it to the base color, and set this to the Arma basic body. And we can see that the texture nicely shows up as we expected. So this is one of the textures the add-on currently supports. It also supports most of the data type textures. So let's say that we also want to get the normal map for this. So let's go ahead and go to texture import again and switch this to data, and then click on basic body normal map and import. Now this will take a bit longer, but it finished already. So let's go ahead and duplicate this node and switch this to the basic body normal, and this is where we will see the effect of the data setting. So on the basic body gray color texture, we can see that the color space was set to sRGB, which is fine because PA textures are in sRGB's color space. But the normal map was set to non-color, and this is correct for data structures. If you forget to switch the texture import setting from sRGB to data, don't worry, you can just change the color space to non-color here instead of sRGB. So now we have our normal map, but if we directly connect this normal map to the material, we can see that the shading is kind of weird, and this is because we are directly inputting a texture into a tangent space normal map data, and also because the normal maps in Arma use a different standard as Blender. Arma uses the DirectX normal map format, while Blender uses the OpenGL one, The only difference between them is that the green channel is practically inverted. So let's quickly fix this with a separate color, and then again combine color, and then plug these two together, and then in the green let's add an invert node. And finally, just to get it to show correctly, we'll also need a normal map node. And this way finally we have a proper normal map imported from PAA directly into Blender. Now sadly, the import process for alpha transparent textures, so CA type textures and normal maps, will be quite slow. The current import process only supports the ext1 and the ext5 compression, which is the most used, but some textures might fall outside of this. The import process will be faster on the ext1 and a lot slower on the ext5, depending on the circumstances, and especially with larger textures. Thank you.